Imagine waking up tomorrow and the world of sports has changed forever. No drug tests, no bans, no hiding. Every athlete on the planet is free to use whatever science can give them. The headlines explode, the record books burn, and the word natural disappears overnight. It's not about training harder anymore. It's about engineering better. The arena becomes a laboratory, and the games we grew up with turn into experiments in human evolution. Fans can't look away. A linebacker, weighing 400 pounds, moves like a sprinter. A basketball player jumps clear over the backboard. A fighter lands a punch that registers like a car crash. Every performance looks superhuman, and that's the point, because for the first time, it literally is. The age of limits is dead. We've entered the enhanced era, where greatness is measured in milligrams, not miles run. But there's an unease behind the spectacle. Deep down, people start asking the question they've always tried to ignore. Was pure sport ever real in the first place? For decades, we worshiped the myth of the clean athlete, the one who relied only on hard work, discipline, and talent. Yet every generation had its scandals, its chemical ghosts. From cycling to baseball to bodybuilding, every golden age had a secret syringe hiding in the shadows. Maybe the only difference now is honesty. This new world tears off the mask. No more PR statements, no more fake outrage, just results. Athletes become walking science projects, some magnificent, some monstrous. Bodies reach new shapes, new speeds, new dangers. The line between hero and experiment vanishes. It's fascinating, terrifying, and impossible to turn away from. Because this time, nobody's pretending. And that's where the real conflict starts. Was the natural era ever about fairness, or was it about control? Maybe fans never cared about purity. Maybe what we truly crave isn't the story of sacrifice, but the sight of human evolution breaking its own design. We want gods on the field, not mortals. We want to see what happens when strength stops obeying biology. A world without limits would be the purest version of what sport has always been, a test of how far we're willing to go. But when every limit is gone, what's left to prove? That's the paradox we'll live in, the thrill of perfection, and the fear that we just erased what made sports human. The first time you see one of them, it doesn't even look real. The proportions are off, shoulders too wide, veins like cables, eyes that almost shine under the lights. You know it's still a person, but something deep inside you says otherwise. It's the same feeling you get when you look at a machine pretending to be human. That's the new athlete, the new idol, the new monster. When the rules disappear, evolution doesn't slow down. It explodes. Scientists, coaches, and labs join forces to create the perfect competitor. No more guessing genetics or praying for natural talent. Everything becomes customizable. Strength, speed, recovery, even emotions. You don't get tired. You don't get scared. You just perform. Imagine a fighter who doesn't feel pain, or a quarterback who can throw 50 perfect passes without breaking a sweat. That's not the future. That's the first season after legalization. At first, fans worship them. Highlight reels go viral daily. Every record falls. Every limit burns. Sports media calls it the golden era, the rebirth of human potential. But behind the scenes, something darker grows. These athletes are no longer individuals. They're property. Contracts start including lab clauses. Teams fight for scientists the way they used to fight for rookies. It's not about signing the strongest body anymore. It's about owning the right formula. And when one formula wins, everyone wants it. So the arms race begins, not in stadiums, but in clinics. Players inject loyalty and ambition in the same syringe. Doctors become as famous as coaches. Designer athletes become a brand category. Kids in high school dream not about making varsity, but about which enhancement line they'll get sponsored by. Humanity starts bending around its own obsession with performance. But here's the paradox. The better these new monsters become, the less human they seem. There's no vulnerability, no fatigue, no fear of failure. And without that, victory feels empty. The roar of the crowd changes tone, from excitement to awe, from awe to discomfort. You start to wonder if you're still watching athletes, or something built to replace them. Still, the truth cuts deeper. We created them. We wanted faster, stronger, harder. We demanded superhumans, and science delivered. So when these monsters walk out under the lights, we can't pretend they're the villains. They're the reflection of our hunger, the physical embodiment of our need to push further, no matter the cost. Because once perfection becomes possible, there's no going back. The moment enhancement becomes legal, sports stop being sports. They become business on steroids. Literally, every brand, every lab, every biotech startup smells blood in the water. Overnight, the focus shifts from training camps to laboratories, from scouting talent to acquiring patents. The market for human improvement turns into a multi-billion-dollar gold rush, and everyone wants a piece. The old sponsorship model dies instantly. Forget Gatorade and Nike and Adidas. Now the big names are genetic labs and pharmaceutical giants. Jerseys no longer feature energy drinks. They feature chemical formulas. Enhanced by Helix Labs. Powered by Novagene. Fans start choosing sides not based on teams, but on stacks. Online forums explode with debates. Which compound cycle gives better endurance? Which lab's protocol breaks fewer bodies? Performance becomes a brand identity. Agents turn into brokers between scientists and athletes. The best contracts now include personal biochemists and exclusive enhancement rights. One superstar signs with a company that promises 20% more oxygen capacity. Another sells his image to a lab perfecting neural reflex boosters. It's chaos. Organized, profitable chaos. TV ratings skyrocket at first. Every game is an event. Every fight a freak show. People tune in to see history being rewritten weekly. And with that attention comes the money. Record ad revenue, record merchandise sales, record streaming numbers. The industry spins faster and faster, feeding on its own spectacle. But the higher it climbs, the more it mutates. Soon, scandals erupt. One lab's formula causes organ failure. Another gets caught testing on minors. A black market version of a popular enhancer spreads through amateur leagues, destroying young athletes' bodies before they even hit college. Lawsuits stack up, but the profits are too huge to stop. Governments hesitate. Who's going to kill a trillion-dollar industry that the public clearly wants? Meanwhile, the human cost disappears behind marketing gloss. Documentaries show athletes smiling while quietly losing their health. Interviews are scripted, sponsors control the narrative, and anyone who speaks out gets erased from the system. The message is clear. Progress doesn't pause for morality. And that's when fans begin to split. Half the world calls it the future, the ultimate evolution of sport. The other half sees it as a freak circus, where corporations puppeteer what's left of human willpower. Yet both sides keep watching, because deep down, no one can look away. The industry of chaos has no off switch. It's the perfect machine, built on greed, driven by curiosity, and powered by the one thing humans can never resist, the next impossible record. At first, everyone still pretends it's fair. They say, well, everyone's enhanced now, so the playing field is even. But that's a lie, the biggest one in sports history. Because fairness never survives money. The richer the athlete, the better the lab. The richer the team, the stronger the science. Just like always, the top 1% rises, but now they rise on compounds the rest can't even afford to pronounce. The old concept of competition shatters. It's no longer about who trains harder or wants it more. It's about whose science is ahead by a few months. One team's genetic protocol boosts recovery tenfold. Another's new oxygen modulator lets players sprint for minutes without fatigue. You don't lose because you're worse. You lose because your sponsor's chemistry department got outspent. Sports stop being the ultimate equalizer and turn into a tech arms race. Commentators can't keep up. Analysts don't talk about defense or strategy anymore. They talk about metabolic tuning, gene batch updates, stack efficiency. Every week, there's a new miracle enhancer, a new record, and a new reason to question whether any of this still means anything. Fans start to divide. Some are addicted to the spectacle. They want bigger, faster, harder. They say, stop whining, this is evolution. But others start to miss the chaos of the old days, the human mistakes, the off nights, the exhaustion. Because when nobody gets tired, when nobody gets hurt, when nobody cracks under pressure, what's left to root for? And then comes the kids. High school athletes start experimenting, chasing dreams that now require a prescription. Scholarships go to the chemically advanced. Natural talent becomes irrelevant. Parents start asking themselves whether protecting their children means keeping them safe or holding them back. The world begins to realize what it traded for the thrill. Fairness isn't just a rule. It's the illusion that made people believe they had a chance. Once it's gone, the emotional connection dies with it. You're not watching an underdog fight anymore. You're watching a test result. The beauty of sports was never perfection. It was fragility. The idea that anyone could rise above their limits, even for one night. But when limits no longer exist, victory becomes meaningless. Every game starts to feel scripted, like a movie you've already seen. And that's when the audience begins to wonder, if everything's enhanced, maybe nothing's real anymore. They don't walk into the arena anymore. They descend. The lights dim, the crowd roars, and the cameras shake like the world's about to end. These aren't athletes now. They're gods, built, sculpted, programmed for perfection. Their names trend every week. Their faces are on billboards, and their bodies are worth more than the GDP of small countries. In the enhanced era, worship replaces fandom. Every record they break feels divine. A quarterback throws 90 yards through hurricane winds. A fighter wins 10 bouts in a row without a scratch. A sprinter moves so fast, the human eye can barely follow. Commentators call it evolution in real time. Scientists call it progress. But deep down, everyone watching knows the truth. This isn't evolution, it's creation. We made them. Social media turns them into digital deities. Fans obsess over every injection, every cycle, every new upgrade. Hashtags like xiao next gen athlete or ashichasajao post-human performance dominate trends. Kids don't just want to be them, they want to become them. Influencers promote enhancement clinics like they used to promote protein powders. The line between fitness and transformation disappears completely, and with power comes distance. These new gods don't live normal lives. They're too valuable, too engineered, too modified to relate to. They train in isolated compounds, protected by security and patents. Every meal, every supplement, every blood test is data worth millions. Their humanity becomes a liability. You don't want your investment to feel guilt, love, or fear. You just want it to perform. But worship always turns to fear. The public starts whispering, what if one of them snaps? A genetically enhanced linebacker who can bench a car, a fighter whose adrenaline response never shuts off. We've spent decades fearing AI taking over the world, but maybe the first real threat won't come from machines. It'll come from us, from what we've turned the human body into. Still, no one looks away. The same fans who complain about cheating line up to buy pay-per-views. The same journalists who write think pieces about ethics stream every match. We love the chaos. We love the spectacle. And maybe that's the most honest thing about us, that deep down, humanity has always wanted gods to worship, even if we had to build them ourselves. The new gods don't thank their fans, and they don't pray. They are the prayer, the answer to our obsession with being more, doing more, becoming more. But gods never stay merciful for long. Every golden age hides a graveyard. Behind every headline about the next superhuman, there's a hospital bed the cameras don't show. When the lights fade and the chemicals wear off, the new gods start to crumble. The side effects don't care about sponsorships. Livers collapse, hearts enlarge, joints disintegrate under impossible loads. What used to be career-ending injuries become life-ending complications. At first, nobody wants to talk about it. Teams bury reports, labs deny responsibility, and fans look the other way. Because who wants to admit that perfection comes with a body count? The enhanced era sold us the illusion of control, that science could cheat biology forever. But the truth hits harder than any knockout. You can't hack human nature without paying the bill. Documentaries start leaking. Former athletes, broken and forgotten, whisper stories about nerve damage, insomnia, rage, paranoia. The same media that once worshipped them now calls them tragic. And yet, every time a hero falls, a new one rises to take their place. Faster, stronger, better engineered. It's a cycle of creation and destruction, and everyone's complicit. Sponsors pretend to care. They fund rehabilitation programs, run ads about responsible enhancement. But behind closed doors, it's just damage control. Nobody's stopping production, not when the profits keep climbing. Fans post "Bar pray for the champion" while pre-ordering tickets for the next event. The machine feeds on empathy, turns tragedy into marketing. The human cost isn't just physical, It's psychological. These enhanced athletes live under the constant pressure of perfection. You can't fail when failure means proving your humanity. Depression, identity loss, self-destruction, it all festers behind the flawless skin and sculpted muscle. Because once you've become the peak of evolution, what's left to strive for? And for every star that breaks down, there are thousands of kids watching, learning the wrong lesson. That greatness isn't earned anymore. It's injected. That pain is temporary, but fame is eternal. Schools start seeing black market training enhancers. High school gyms turn into clinics. The next generation grows up believing that natural effort is obsolete. This is the real cost, not the broken bodies, but the broken idea of what it means to be human. The line between ambition and addiction disappears. We've turned progress into a drug, and the overdose is coming. Because when perfection becomes the only acceptable outcome, everyone becomes disposable, even the gods. Every empire falls, and this one was built on ego and denial. The moment comes when fans finally stop cheering. It doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, uncomfortable, like watching your childhood idols age in real time. One scandal too many, one body too broken, one truth too loud to ignore. The illusion cracks. The heroes aren't heroes anymore. They're corporate experiments that went too far. The downfall begins with whispers, leaked lab reports, hacked data, footage of athletes collapsing mid-event, while officials force the cameras to cut away. Social media erupts. They knew. They covered it up. This isn't sport anymore. The same fans who once worshipped the new gods now call them monsters. The same commentators who praised peak performance now moralize about ethics and humanity. Hypocrisy becomes the new national pastime. But beneath the outrage lies something deeper: grief. Because for years, people believed in these heroes. Kids wanted to be them. Parents told stories about hard work and dedication, not realizing those words no longer meant anything. When the truth finally hits, it's like losing religion. The idea that sport was about courage, sacrifice, and willpower dies, and all that's left is spectacle and marketing. The collapse is total. Leagues face lawsuits, sponsors pull out, governments scramble to regulate what they once celebrated. Entire teams dissolve under scandal. Fans burn jerseys, demand refunds, swear off watching forever. But they never really do. Addiction to greatness doesn't fade easily. Even as they curse the system, they crave the next freak, the next miracle, the next impossible record. It's a toxic love story, and everyone knows it. And then there's the athletes, the faces of the fall. They sit in interviews, older, slower, broken, trying to justify their choices. Some blame the system. Others say they'd do it all again. Because for a moment, they were gods. For a moment, they felt untouchable. And no amount of regret can erase that high. That's the cruel beauty of the collapse. It exposes who we really are. The fans, the media, the corporations, all guilty. We wanted perfection, no matter the cost. They gave it to us, and now we punish them for delivering. When the smoke clears, the fields are empty. The stadiums are quiet. And for the first time in decades, people start to ask themselves a question they've been avoiding. Did we ever really love sports? Or did we just love watching people destroy themselves for our entertainment? When the dust finally settles, the world splits in two. On one side, the Pure League, a desperate attempt to revive what sport used to be: natural, unmodified, real. On the other, the Enhanced Federation, a billion-dollar empire that refuses to slow down. Two realities, two belief systems, one built on nostalgia, the other on evolution. And neither side is winning. The Pure League markets itself as redemption. Wooden arenas, no sponsors, no labs, just sweat and muscle. They sell authenticity like it's oxygen. Their slogan: real humans, real limits. For a while, people buy in. The fans who grew tired of chemical gods flock to watch the underdogs again. There's heart, there's pain, there's imperfection, and it feels right. But ratings stay low, money dries up, and soon even purity becomes a brand. Companies start selling natural performance as if it's a product. The irony writes itself. Meanwhile, the Enhanced Federation evolves into something beyond sport, part entertainment, part religion, part experiment. Their athletes are bigger, faster, stronger than ever, breaking physics every weekend. Entire nations sponsor labs to create super teams. The Olympics die, replaced by something new, the Ascension Games, where the human body isn't celebrated but redesigned. It's magnificent, terrifying, and completely unstoppable. The divide becomes cultural. Kids argue in schools about which side is real. Parents fight over which league their children should dream of joining. Philosophers debate whether enhancement is cheating or simply the next stage of evolution. Politicians weaponize it, calling one side traditionalists and the other progressives. What began as a question about fairness turns into a global identity crisis. Even fans can't escape the hypocrisy. The same person who cheers for purity on Sunday might stream an enhanced fight on Friday. People crave authenticity, but they also crave spectacle. The human heart can't resist a miracle, even when it's man-made. Over time, the line between the two worlds blurs again. Rumors spread, pure athletes secretly microdosing enhancements, enhanced stars, faking tests for nostalgia points. The whole system feeds on deceit. No one trusts anyone anymore. And that's when it hits. There's no going back. The purity we're trying to recover never really existed. Sport was always about pushing the limit. We just didn't like admitting how far we were willing to go. The great divide isn't between natural and enhanced athletes. It's between the idea of who we think we are and the truth of what we've become. A species addicted to progress, unable to stop even when it destroys the very thing we love. There comes a point when pretending just feels stupid. The debates fade, the outrage burns out, and what's left is silence, the kind that comes when humanity finally admits what it's done. The illusion of pure sport, of natural greatness, of fair play. It all collapses under the weight of reality. No one believes in the myth anymore because the truth's too obvious. We never wanted purity. We wanted power. The networks rebrand the Enhanced Federation into simply the League. No more prefixes, no disclaimers. The world moves on. Record books are rewritten, old achievements are archived, and the phrase, all natural, becomes a joke. What was once controversial now feels inevitable. People stop asking if enhancement is wrong. They start asking how much is safe. Humanity doesn't fight evolution anymore. It manages it. Commentators still pretend to find meaning in it. A new golden age, they call it. The broadcasts are slick, the production flawless, the athletes flawless too. Skin like polished steel, reflexes beyond comprehension. Every match looks like a movie, every moment like a cutscene. Fans cheer, but it's a different kind of cheering, colder, more distant. They're not rooting for people anymore. They're consuming performance. The few who still cling to the old ideals sound like fossils. Remember when winning meant something? They ask. But nobody answers. The crowd has changed. Kids grow up idolizing scientists instead of coaches. Training camps look like clinics. The language of sports morphs into medical terminology, efficiency, adaptation, dosage. And yet, deep beneath the progress, there's a quiet sadness, the sense that something irreplaceable has been lost. It's in the empty stares of the new athletes who no longer know if their victories belong to them. It's in the fans who don't feel inspired anymore, just entertained. The connection that made sports sacred, the fragile humanity of it, is gone. Still, the world keeps moving. Nobody wants to stop the machine. Because even if it's fake, even if it's manufactured, it's still beautiful. The sight of a human body, or what's left of it, defying nature, still makes hearts race. We've accepted the lie because it gives us something better than truth, wonder. The illusion didn't die, it evolved. It became our new reality. We stopped watching heroes and started watching mirrors, reflections of what we always were, ambitious, reckless, unstoppable, and willing to burn everything for greatness. Every story about power ends the same way, with a mirror. Somewhere along the line, we stop looking at the athletes and start seeing ourselves. The enhanced era wasn't an accident. It was a confession. We wanted this. We built it. Every record, every mutation, every broken limit. It all came from one simple human impulse, to be more, to become something beyond pain, beyond failure, beyond flesh. And when we finally got there, we realized what that really means, that the moment you stop being human, victory stops mattering. The stadiums still roar, but it's an empty sound now, a ritual without belief. The crowds cheer because silence would mean accepting the truth that sport isn't about courage anymore, it's about consumption, about watching others live the extremes we're too afraid to chase. The enhanced era didn't kill sports, it exposed them. It showed us that behind all the speeches about honor and discipline, what we really crave is domination. We don't celebrate humanity, we celebrate control. And yet, there's beauty in that darkness, because maybe this was always where it was heading. From the first time someone sharpened a spear, lifted a stone, or ran to prove they were faster, it's always been about surpassing nature. The syringe is just the latest version of the spear. The lab replaced the battlefield. We didn't corrupt sports, sports revealed us. Maybe that's the real truth. Evolution doesn't care about morals. It doesn't pause for nostalgia. It just keeps moving, and we move with it. So when people ask, did we go too far? Maybe the better question is, was there ever another way? In the end, the enhanced era becomes the mirror humanity can't look away from. The gods we created walk among us, perfect, empty, unstoppable, and they remind us of everything we wanted to be. But the tragedy is simple. We reached perfection, and it was hollow. We won the war against our limits, and in doing so, we erased the very thing that made victory worth it. The final shot isn't of a champion holding a trophy, it's of an empty field. The lights fade, the cameras shut off, and for the first time, there's no noise. Just the quiet realization that in our obsession with strength, we created something stronger than ourselves, and it no longer needs us. Because in the end, we didn't enhance sports. We just removed the last piece of humanity they had left.